welcome back. This sequence is going to be a Qigong practice. Qigong means working with the energy, Gong means movement, so it comes more from the Taoist tradition or Chinese medicine. So when I'm practicing Qigong, I'll be using various things, breath work, flows, and holds to try to move energy through the body. Okay, try to increase the energy, try to clean the energy in the body. This is also you could say based on the meridian system in Chinese medicine. So when you go for an acupuncture session, you can have a lot of relief depending on what you have going on. And when you do a Qigong session, it's kind of like doing your own acupuncture session. Okay, it's all about opening up the meridians, getting flow, using the breath, using intention, using mind. It's not that unsimilar from the yoga practice we've done. Okay, except this sequence is going to be done standing. There's different parts to it, warming up, doing the flows, and then going into the stances. So this will be a shorter Qigong practice. This is an introduction, and then in the future, I'll put on some longer sequences. Okay, so the first thing we do is just want to plant your feet into the floor, relax the bottom of your feet, and just kind of find your position. For a lot of you at first, if you're not used to doing Qigong, it's going to be quite intense standing still most of the time. So we'll stretch out in between sequences. So let's begin with warm-ups. We'll place the hands on the hips and we'll just start to stretch out the hips. And as I did my other practices, sometimes doing this movement here, make sure that you're opening up the hips. You're not just keeping the whole body stiff. Okay, so it's like, think about separating your hips from, or I should say your waist from your hips and your waist from your lower back. As in the yoga practice, the most important thing that we're working on, let's go the other way, is concentration, number one. So this is the most important principle of all. If you can't concentrate your mind on your body, then not very much happens. Okay, concentration opens up all the other doorways to internal or subtle practice. Concentration takes a lot of willpower. They're often talked about in the same context, willpower, concentration. That means taking the attention away from your thoughts. We'll come back straight. Okay, and then the next warm-up movement, this is coming from your legs. Okay, so I'll have a little bend in the knees. I'll start to swing the arms. Notice how my legs are in sequence with my body. And then I'll start sinking a little bit more. And then as I inhale, I float the arms up. And then I'll exhale, drop. So inhale up, arms are totally relaxed. When you bend the knees, the arms automatically come down. Now try to imagine that you're whipping water off your fingertips. Imagine your hands are wet. So you're going to inhale up, exhale, whip the fingers away. And then try to also notice whereabouts your arms stop in zero gravity. That means as I inhale up, there's going to be this magic point where the arms are just suspended for a second and then they drop again. See if you can sense that as you do the flow. This will help you concentrate. The entire movement comes from my legs. So I push the floor away, the arms go up. I bend the knees, the arms drop down. Keep the shoulders completely relaxed. Also working the rib cage. Inhaling up, rib cage opens. Exhale, rib cage drops. Working the diaphragm as you're inhaling up. And I'm just stopping, you don't have to stop if you're watching this, but I'm stopping just to show you that the diaphragm still stretches down. So as I'm inhaling up, the diaphragm is still going down. I'm getting this deep stretch in my torso. And then I drop through. On some of the longer videos I'll do on Qigong, then some of these movements or sequences will be done for a longer period of time. Let your arms just slowly come to a stop, like they're on a hinge. And just like we do in yoga, take a moment to check in and try to feel what's going on in your body so far. The next part of the warm-up sequence, slightly wider stance. A little bit of what's called a horse stance in martial arts. This is side to side. When you're doing it, you're still free floating. Okay, so I'll show you and then I'll explain what I'm doing. So as I do this, when I twist, I exhale. When I come across the center, if I'm going in slow motion, I inhale. So I would inhale, exhale, twist, inhale, exhale, twist. Watch what's happening with my legs. So as I twist to one side, that side will bend. So as I exhale over to the left side, the left knee bends, and the right leg is almost straight. I mean, we don't have to get caught into being over anal about specifics here. Okay, so inhale in slow motion, exhale, twist. And the arms are floating. Now, the second part will add to this. As I twist and exhale, is I'll start to bring the hands in. So one hand comes up and taps the line where your chest and your shoulder connects, and the other hand will tap the opposite kidney. And then you come through and tap opposite shoulder kidney point. So it would look like this. Once I'm going. Notice my arms, I'm not controlling them. I'm just twisting my body. And as I twist my body, the twist itself comes from the ankles, moves up through the knees, hips, is expressed out the hands. Exhale, twist, tapping the lung point up here on the top part, inside of the shoulder and the opposite kidney. And then my head follows it. And your arms are just floating. Any of these sequences can be done for as long as you want. This could be easily a 5-minute flow, just this movement. Do a few more breaths. And then very slowly I'll allow my arms to come to a stop. Take a moment and check in. Deep breath. So like in yoga and Qigong, I'm still using full breathing. I still want to work the diaphragm down. This area, 2 inches below the belly button in Qigong, is called the lower dantian or the lower elixir, but in yoga it's called the second chakra, so it doesn't really matter. These names change according to the practice, but it's obviously still the same energy center here. The last warm-up I'll do is bouncing. This looks really easy, and it is pretty easy, but it's one of the best exercises of all exercises. So again, it comes from the legs. I relax my body. And we're just going to start to go into this. So just this sequence here, I'll go into more detailed sequences later, but because there's a lot of things you can do bouncing. But just doing this, just working the thighs, letting the whole upper body relax, let the face relax, the jaw, the eyes, the cheeks, the forehead, as though you're just letting the tension shed off of you. Bouncing, this works every part of your body. So when you're bouncing, it works the skeletal system all the way up. The tendons, works the lymphatic system, muscular system, nervous system, and so on. There's nothing that the bounce doesn't work. So if you're feeling out of sorts sometime, having one of those days, you can put a timer on for 5 minutes, and you're just going to bounce, and that's going to get a circulation of energy through the whole body. The longer you bounce, the more you'll feel the circulation. So we're going to do this for at least 2 or 3 minutes, just so we can get that sensation at the end. If you like, as you're bouncing here, you can kind of bring the arms out a little bit, let the wrists flop around. Try to keep the shoulders very relaxed, so you don't want to be keeping yourself stiff. The whole point is relax as much as possible, and the only thing you're doing is you're moving your thighs up and down. You're also relaxing the pelvic floor. If we were doing a longer session, sometimes I'll do 10 or even 15 minutes of this with different movements. It's like a meditation. You go into your body and you're also trying to relax everything. So you're trying to relax your intestines, small intestine, large intestine, stomach, diaphragm, liver, the heart, the kidneys in the back. You're trying to get that movement throughout the entire body. Okay? Speed it up a little bit. Good. Now, when I come to a stop from bouncing, I'm going to spend maybe a half a minute or something like that. When I use a time frame like a half a minute, I don't actually have a timer. I just go by feeling, so if it's not exactly a half a minute or whatnot, that doesn't really matter. Okay, so when I come to a stop, I want to just feel the circulation that I created. So I'll stop. And what you're going to feel is this sensation that the whole body is expanding outwards. And you're going to feel tingling inside of your body. Try not to move for at least a half a minute. And ground that. That sensation you feel is cheap. If you were to do this for 10 minutes, you're going to feel a lot more circulation going on in the body. Good, and then we'll stretch out. We'll get ready for the second part of this sequence. You can stretch the ankles out a bit, move the hips around every leg, grab a sip of water if you need to. So when I'm practicing Qigong, the first place that I'm probably going to feel energy or heat is in the palms of the hands. This is the most sensitive nerves in the body, sense of touch. In the center of your palm, this is called the Qigong point. It's part of the pericardium meridian. When you hear about people doing, like, for instance, something like energy work on people, this is where the energy circulates out of. So this is essentially is heart meridian energy. The heart goes down the small finger, but this is the pericardium, which comes in through here. So here's where I'm going to probably feel it. Now you may not feel it right away in the first practice, or you might, but we'll try to amp up a little bit of a charge in the hands so you can get a sensation for that. So first I'm going to ground the hands like this. I'll go through the sequence with you of standing after, okay, on how to stand stacked and proper. Right now just do your best, keep your feet relaxed, keep your knees a little bit bent, have the palms facing down. And then we'll progress into a flow sequence. So the first thing I'll do is bring the hands in like this as though I'm holding something. Sink a little bit through the knees. Okay, and then push the floor away, inhale. Coming to the upper chest, turn the palms down, exhale, sink. Now as I exhale and I push down with the palms, I'm unwinding from the elbow, leading my way down with the elbow. And I want to imagine that I've got two big springs and I'm condensing these springs. That idea that my hands are moving through something, and this goes for all the flows we'll be doing, increases the sensation of energy in the hands and opens up the meridians that go down the arms. So I'm going to exhale, sink, scoop, inhale up, floating, turn the palms over, exhale, sink. You're trying to move as fluid as you can so you're not rigid, and it's a whole body movement. So as the arms come up, I'm pushing the floor away. Turn the palms. As the hands go down, I'm bending the knees, sinking the body, and trying to maintain an upright torso as I do it. Okay. Keep your jaw relaxed as much as possible. Keep your mouth relaxed. Keep the eyes relaxed. You can do this with the eyes closed if you prefer. This time, when you exhale and sink, in between each flow that we do, we'll bring the hands to the lower belly. So I'm going to place the hands on the lower belly. You can have the center of the palms one lined up over the top of the other, and then about 2 inches below your belly button. There's a lot of different mudras or hand positions for this. Some people will come into this position, some people just rest the hands like this. If you study multiple yoga philosophies or Qigong philosophies, what you will find out is that many different systems have many different answers for what you should be doing. You know, some will say this hand position specifically, others will say this one here. Same with the flows. What I've come to discover is they're probably all true. The most important thing is I'm trying to really work on relaxing my mind, focusing my attention, and working with my breath. If I can sink into my body, then magic can happen. My body can release tension. I don't have to know exactly this specific and that specific and get caught up into my mind as much. And people may or may not disagree with that, but that's what I've come to discover after doing years of practice and also energy work. So the second one we'll do here, I'm going to bring the hands down. This is a pretty foundational movement, so I open the palms wide like this, bend the knees, and then wide arc up. So inhale. As you come up, imagine you're filling something up here. So this whole area, the analogy I use is, let's say you have a giant stuffed feather pillow, and you're gonna squeeze around it, but I'm not locked up like this, I'm not placid like this, but I'm full. Sometimes this is referred to as pung, but it has different names. And then I'll turn the palms out, exhale, come down, bending the knees. And let's do this for a little bit. So flow through, inhale. Using your breath, so your breath moves your body, exhale. This movement can be done slower. I would recommend not doing it faster than this, unless your breath is really shallow. You can start with that. You're opening the whole upper body, the arms, the rib cage as you flow through. And you're still going up and down through the legs. It's a full body movement. Next time we come up, we're going to hold this just for a couple breaths. So I'm going to come up and fill, relax, open everything up, and now focus on your breathing in your belly. If you've got tension, breathe into it. If you hold your arms up like this, for some people, it'll produce a lot of tension in the shoulders. The last thing you want to do is hold your breath. After you take the next inhale, exhale, come down, and place the hands on the lower belly. So as I come in, rest the palms on the lower belly. And then imagine that you're filling this area up with energy. So if you have a little bit of heat increasing in the hands, you want to imagine or intend that you're pulling that heat into this area. This is considered the storage point of qi in the whole body. This area governs the kidneys, it governs the sexual organs. It's also the center of sexual energy, which from a Qigong perspective is life force energy. Okay, so we try to take that connotation out that we may have, and this is raw life force energy. This is where it lives. When this area gets really depleted, the whole body gets depleted. Okay, we're going to go into the next one. Sinking the hands. This one's, again, a foundational movement that you'll find often. So I'm pushing the floor away, inhaling up. Wrists are relaxed. And then exhale, sliding the hands down the wall. It shows you how old I am, but there was the very first Karate Kid movie, if you remember that. I know it's kind of sad, but this is, remember Paint the Fence? Okay, so this is very similar to that. Sinking, exhale, push the floor away, inhale, float out. Keep your mouth and jaw relaxed and try to keep your eyes relaxed. If you close the eyes, which I would recommend once you know the movement, so that you can feel. When the eyes are wide open, they're taking in a lot of energy, and they take our attention usually away from the body. Keep everything as relaxed as possible. As you're going up and down, try to think about releasing your shoulders. So when I inhale up and I start to go down, the elbow leads the way down. So I'm not coming down like this. I'm not coming down too much flexion, but floating down. But picture that the elbow's really heavy and it's just drawing the shoulder open. When you get to the point where obviously you can't come any further than this, then the elbow just unlocks and comes down. Okay, exhale. and then come down. And we'll do two things here. First, ground the hands. When I'm grounding the hands into the floor, what I want you to visualize is that you're standing in water. Let's say you're standing in a lake, and it's up to the waist roughly, and you've got two little balls, and you're just going to push the balls underwater, and of course they're resisting back. Try to find that, and if you use that analogy, you're probably going to feel a little bit more sensation in the hands in the form of heat or tingling. So it's this idea, obviously this is too much again, elbows are locked, this isn't right, but it's this idea that this is just full, like a spring. Okay, and then next movement, we'll draw the hands up like this. And then I'm sinking the elbows, and first try to find the position where I can stand like this and just be relaxed. So there's no tension, so the elbows are heavy, and I could stand like that without burning myself. So if I'm up a bit, I'm jamming the shoulders. If I'm down too much, you'll probably feel how you're straining, but you're just here, like your elbows are resting on counter or whatnot. This is going to be your inhale position. Your exhale position, I'll show it to you and then I'll break it down. So when I exhale, one hand peels back and the other hand peels back, and then I push the ceiling and floor away and extend out, but I'm not quite locking the elbows again. So this idea is I'm still pushing against a spring and it's full, but I'm not going to lock the elbows. So I reach out like this, and then on my inhale, bending the knees, sinking, and right when the palms cross, this is my full inhale, I switch sides. Exhale, push. This hand is rotated in, and this in, and notice as I come into the full exhale, that my elbows are not locked. They're still open. Then I relax, leading down with the elbow. Exhale. This one comes from the 8 brocades. And again, if the 8 brocades is a foundational sequence in Qigong, and if you were to study it from different people, you're going to get different versions of it. So I would kind of emphasize that you don't have to be super precise that this is how it has to be. It's the general idea. This movement has different variations. Exhale. And you'll notice this is still happening from the legs. Inhale, bending the knees. Inhale, coming down. I'm going to stop like this with the hands holding this imaginary ball here for a moment. Close the eyes and then breathe into the space between the hands. And again, what we're doing here is a shorter version. If you do say an hour practice, then you'll probably notice more and more what's called qi or heat building up in the system. From here, with this imaginary ball, it's not really imaginary because you have bioelectrical energy between the hands. You're going to take the hands and place it again down into the lower belly. And take a couple deep breaths right into this area. Releasing the hands. Take a moment and just kind of shake out the arms. If you need to stretch out the legs a little bit, you can do that. Standing like this and not moving for a long time can be fairly intense at first. It'll help strengthen your tendons, your bones, your legs. We're going to do one more movement here, and then we'll move into the standing sequence or standing meditation. So the last movement, bring my arms back like this as though I'm holding something here in my hands, like I'm holding a big sack, maybe of, who knows, could be anything, or maybe you're holding a little sack of potatoes. So from here I sink, and then I'm going to inhale and maintain that position as I inhale up overhead, stretching open the whole upper body, but I still have my arms full. So I'm not locked like this, it's full. Exhale. You don't really change your arm position, you just come back to the starting position like this. Here's my starting position. Same position with the elbows, push the floor away, inhale, expand. Exhale, release. expand. Exhale, release. And then a couple of these will come out to the side. Inhale up. And then exhale, slowly bringing the hands down the front of the body. Exhale, sinking. Good. Okay, so now we're going to work into the last part. We'll be standing for a couple of minutes. As we progress in Qigong, what you want to do is work your way up to at least 20 minutes of standing posture. And I'll put out some more advanced videos, or you can say more intense practice later. So to come into the stance, this is the most important part of this practice, just how do I stand properly. So the first thing I do is look down. I've got my feet waist to shoulder width apart, and the feet are pointed forward mostly. They could be out a little bit like this, but they're not going to be buckled in like that. Okay, so maybe just a little bit. Relax your feet completely and try to make contact with the bottom of your feet and the floor. See if you can actually feel the feet touching the floor. And then you have a little bend in your knees. Knees are never lower. Then as I move up to the waist, what I'll do is tuck the tailbone a little bit without slouching. So obviously I'm not going to slouch. It's an awkward looking position, or stick my butt out, but rather tuck the tailbone through, but you're still upright here. That's the best way I can explain it in a short version. And then you want your glute muscles to relax. They should not be flexed, and you'll feel that you're sort of standing with the thigh muscles. Okay, they're more engaged. So if the glutes are clenched, you're in the wrong position with your hips. Okay, next part, shoulders come up and over the shoulder blades and then drop down. When I drop them down, I'm not in this position. People often pull the shoulder blades too tight together. You're up and over and then just relaxed. And then the last thing is the chin tucks in towards the throat, opening the back of the neck, reaching the crown of the head for the ceiling. Okay? This is the basic standing posture. There's other things that we'll say about it later. So from here now, I want to try to feel my alignment from the crown of my head to the perineum, which is the root lock at the base of your torso. If you're not sure where the perineum is, there's no really easy way to explain that. But let's say you had to go to the washroom, you had to go pee and stop yourself, and you flex that area, that's the perineum. Okay, that's your root lock. And then here's the crown of the head following the tip of the ears up. So try to imagine those 2 points are lined up and that you have something holding you upright right down the center of your torso. Relax your forehead, your eyes, your jaw, and your mouth. And then we would learn how to stand like this for up to 20 minutes or longer. This is the foundational posture. There's other more difficult postures that we'll explore later. And so we're about to finish the practice. If you would like, you can stay like this for a longer period of time. The key to the stance is try to keep your concentration in your body and try not to resist what's happening in your body at the same time. And I can say from my own experience that standing stacked and not moving and going into my breath, I've been able to release often more tension than most of the movements, both in yoga or Qigong. You will also feel that your hands will start to heat up here as you relax, as you keep letting the shoulders surrender to gravity. Okay? Good, and then we'll go through the closing movement for this practice. So from here, I'm going to bring the hands out, inhale up. Once again, and now imagine you're pushing the energy all the way down through the body and out your feet as you exhale. So I'm going to exhale, floating the hands down, leading with the elbows down, and then with your mind, just continue on and imagine I push straight out of my feet. And then I'm going to kind of scoop, draw back up, exhale all the way down, and with your mind, follow your attention out your feet. And one more time. And then we'll close out the practice, coming up, palms together into prayer posture. When you come into prayer posture, it's important to acknowledge yourself, like to acknowledge that the work that you're trying to do, and give credence to that part of you that is trying to do healing work for yourself, trying to help yourself, as opposed to the part of us that seems to always take our attention away from ourselves. And then we'll close out.